It is my pleasure to welcome you all here tonight. I have had the privilege of meeting with Clay T a couple of times now, and in the circles that we've run in, I've been impressed and thoroughly humbled by her wealth of knowledge, ranging from everything from the Moulin Rouge to Latinx stories to the stories of diversity within Las Vegas that so many people don't have a better understanding of, but through her experience and her knowledge, we gain a better understanding. So thank you for that. And so with that, I'm going to turn this over to Clay T. Thank you for being our moderator this evening, and thank you for the program tonight.
Thank you so much for that introduction. So first, I just want to thank the staff here at the museum. I'm not going to call names. I made some notes, and I said no, because I don't have everybody's name. Amazing people to work with. I am so honored to be here. So tonight, we're here to talk about the longest strike in American history. I don't know if that's true or not, but tonight we're going to go with that. Okay. So, and by the way, and the food is delicious. Did you get food? Oh, simply delicious. So I'm going to introduce the panel, and we're going to get started talking about this great topic. I'm going to start by telling you about Mary Burns. After Mary graduated from high school back in Tallulah, Louisiana, she purchased a bus ticket the next day and came to Las Vegas, where she already had family working. She was a guest room attendant at the Frontier before the strike that lasted 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days. Gloria Hernandez was on strike at the Frontier for 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days. You're going to hear that a lot tonight. She was raising 3 young children on $200 a week on strike pay. Her sacrifice paved the way for tens of thousands of culinary union members to have good union jobs. So Gloria and all those people who protested all of those months. Gloria is now an organizing director and a chaplain at the Culinary Union. Gioconda Aguero Klein is the secretary treasurer for the Culinary Workers Union Local 226. Do you know that that is the highest position in the union? And I think that she is the first woman to hold both president and secretary treasurer at the same time?
Hattie Canty was the first president.
Yes. But you secretary treasury. Yes. All right. From Nicaragua, she came to the United States of America as a political refugee in 1979, moved to Las Vegas in 1983. She was a lead organizer during the Frontier strike. And now beside me, we have a historian. Usually the historian is the oldest person on the panel. Not tonight. Tonight the historian is the youngest person on the panel. Maribel Estrada Calderon earned her bachelor's and her master's in U.S. history at UNLV. Her work explores the intersections of integration, gender, labor, and activism by tracing the development of the Frontier strike from beginning to end. Her most recent project sheds light on the contributions of Latinx and working class women to the growth of Las Vegas, Nevada. And if you have not seen the exhibit that's on display in the lobby, that is her work as well. So we're going to get the panel started tonight with Maribel. She is going to give you an introduction to what we're going to talk about. So please.
All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. I'm going to cover a bit of the history of the strike. So on September 21st, 1991, workers at the Frontier Hotel and Casino began one of the most significant labor disputes in the late 20th century. During the 1990s, fewer American laborers walked out from their workplace than between the late 1940s and 1970s. This national trend did not discourage Frontier workers from initiating a work stoppage. Due to the strike's length, and because such socioeconomic battles were so rare during this period, Frontier workers transformed Las Vegas into a key battleground over 20th century labor relations. These workers proved that through strikes, workers across the nation could still demand higher wages, benefits, and better working conditions. The Frontier strike, rather than solely a dispute between workers and management, was also a labor conflict between and involving families. Frontier workers forged familial bonds with one another as they overcame the daily challenges they encountered on the picket line, which they maintained for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Together, they stood up against the Alardes, owners of the Frontier. In 1988, the Hughes Corporation sold the Frontier Hotel and Casino to other well-known and successful business owners, Margaret Alarde and her 2 sons, Tom and John Alarde. The year that she purchased the Frontier, Alarde received national attention for her generosity and support of Nevada high school valedictorians. Alarde chose to help Nevada students because the state had allowed her and her family to run successful businesses. The public attention that she and the scholarship program received did not compare with the publicity that was to come once labor management relations deteriorated at the Frontier. This should clicker. There we go. So the labor union contract that the Alardes had upheld since the purchase of the Frontier expired on June 1st, 1989. After this contract expired, the Alardes wanted to negotiate a new agreement that would benefit their family-operated business. In 1990, the Alardes terminated workers' pension plans without informing their workers' labor unions, which included the Culinary Workers Union Local 226. The Alardes also cut wages and made workers switch their health insurance to inferior plans that made many of them ineligible to receive any medical assistance. For many of the workers, the health insurance plans were among the most valuable benefits they received from the labor contract. They relied on their insurance to provide adequate health care for their families. These workers saw that the Alardes' actions were threatening to not only their own economic stability, but also that of their families. In view of the Alardes' actions, more than 500 Frontier workers voted on September 19, 1991, to go on strike. Contrary to common beliefs, the decision to go on strike is not always an easy one for workers to make. It is, in fact, their last course of action when employers refused to adopt a union contract. When Frontier workers walked out, they hardly expected to be on strike for more than 6 years. Maintaining the picket line required much planning. Workers had to take into consideration their spouses' and children's work and school schedules to decide when they could complete their 6-hour shift on the picket line. Many strikers had to find employment in other casinos or elsewhere to make up for the $200 stipend that the Culinary Union provided them every week for the duration of the strike. Frontier employees had to balance family and work life while seeking to adapt to and survive during the many phases of labor activism. To merge their responsibilities, many strikers took their families to the picket line. Some children were old enough to hold signs and march alongside their parents. Gloria Hernandez, who is here with us tonight, shared with me that during the summer, the children who joined the picket line would often cross the street to the Desert Inn Hotel and Casino. There, they would go up and down in an elevator for hours. Meanwhile, Hernandez and other parents marched and did their best to supervise the children from across the street. Together, Hernandez and other parents ensured that children had memorable childhoods regardless of the ongoing strike. From the beginning, working women of color were at the forefront of the frontier labor dispute. Two of the women who held leadership positions were Culinary Union President Hattie Canty and lead organizer Gioconda Arguello Klein. Workers respected and cared for Canty not only because she was the union's president, but also because she stood alongside them during the strike. As an organizer, Arguello Klein motivated strikers to practice solidarity. She inspired unity among workers by encouraging them to treat one another as family. And while strikers had one another's support, many local residents neither understood nor approved of the strikers' actions. A Las Vegas resident wrote to the editor of the Las Vegas Review-Journal to explain that the union's actions made him feel confused and angry. This person added that the attention media gave to the strike would negatively affect the reputation of Las Vegas. Their concern indicates how significant and well-known the strike had become in its first year. As frontier workers raised awareness of their cause and gained more supporters from across the country, federal officials became increasingly concerned with this labor dispute. In October 1993, the House Subcommittee on Labor Management Relations held an oversight hearing focusing on the frontier strike. Even though government officials sent out multiple invitations, the Alardes refused to attend. During the hearing, Pat Williams, a Montana congressman and the chairman of the committee, argued that, quote, the frontier strike represented one of America's most outstanding failures in labor management relations, end quote. And although strikers knew why they were on strike, it was not until June 1995 that a federal judge for the National Labor Relations Board officially stated that the strike began because the Alardes engaged in unfair labor practices. In October 1997, frontier strikers saw a glimmer of hope. That month, the Alardes gave up their fight and sold the frontier to Phil Ruffin, an owner of various hotels. Ruffin began to talk to labor union organizers about adopting a labor contract. Frontier workers, though, continued to protest until the Alardes and Ruffin finalized the sale. The strike officially ended on February 1st, 1998, when Ruffin entered the hotel alongside union workers. Ruffin allowed workers to return to their jobs, maintaining their seniority. He also pledged to pay the culinary union millions to cover back wages and lost benefits. And while the union and many workers considered the strike a success, the end of the dispute caused mixed emotions among the strikers. The picket line had been a place where they gave and received encouragement, fostered friendships, and shared and overcame obstacles as a family. Because of those relationships, some found the end of the strike bittersweet. Mirna Preciado, a waitress at the Frontier, said in an interview, "I'm glad we won, but I'm sad too. I'm going to miss my friends. We are like family." By the time the strike ended, the participating families had given birth to over 100 children. Wow. Those children had grown up on the picket line and alongside one another while their parents marched. In participating in this strike, frontier workers demonstrated that business owners could not easily dismantle labor unions and do away with the employee protections that these unions offered. Additionally, the uproar workers created revealed that the gaming and hospitality industry could not effectively function when employees in the service sector were not content with the corporations that employed them. These blue-collar workers showed people across the nation that American laborers could still attain workplace justice. Thank you.
Great. So that gives us a historical overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. But she stole our first question. The first question was going to be, so why was a strike called? I'm still going to ask that because I just want to hear it from people who were right there on the front lines. Talk about that like you talked about it to me the other day. And we can start wherever you like, Mary, Gioconda, and I'm going to call them by their first names because I'm old enough to do that. So
Cleola, I would like Gloria or Mary tell you why they went to strike.
Okay.
I think they know why would they, nobody liked to go strike.
Exactly.
But when they made the choice, it's for very, very important reasons, and they can tell you more than anybody why they went to strike.
All right, the reason that we went on strike is because the authorities didn't want to pay health insurance. They didn't want to give us no raises. They want to take everything that we had worked for away from us. So we decided, everybody had a card count, to see how many people voted to go on strike. So everybody voted. So it was easy to do because as my memories, like I said, as a young woman coming up, and I came from the South, we had nobody to fight for us. I grew up in the cotton fields. You might not think I didn't, but I grew up chopping cotton and picking cotton in the Jim Crow era. So we had nobody to fight for us. So when I came to Las Vegas and joined the union, that's the first thing I did was join the union before I got my job. So I was so excited to be in a place where I had people to fight for me, fight for our kids' futures, So when I first got my job and I went to the frontier, so I'm used to working out in the sun, 6-7 days a week. So when I first went in and I was in an air conditioning building, I couldn't believe it. I said, now if anybody tried to put me out of this building and put me back in the sun, it wasn't gonna be right. But it was a reason, and and I want people, I know you're listening all over the world. Don't give up. Fight for what you think is right, and it was right. We had to beat the authorities because she came in like a bulldozer. She really did, So she stood her ground, and we stood our ground.
So Gloria, would you like to add?
So my decision to just come to the strike, I come from Mexico, and I had to make decision when I come over here. I left my family over there, so I come over here to live better, and to live better, nobody is going to do for me. I have to stand up. So I have at this time 2 children, and one on the way, my baby born 2 weeks before the strike. So when I started working, we have a contract. We have a great medical insurance. We have a respect. So when the lady, because I have a money, they try to not give you a contract. So my main thing was medical insurance. This is what I can fight anytime for medical insurance. So this is the time that I make the decision, and I have a great organizers who come and put the flame in our heart.
Yes.
And we have to make the decision. So during the time, organizer, they only to stay for 1 week, and after we have to work inside and outside with the organizers. And we was ready. We better to die, stand, the live and kneels.
Yes.
So this is what was my decision to go on a strike, medical insurance.
Yes, okay. And we always said that it's better to stand for something than fall for anything.
Amen.
That's why we stood. And we, like you said, we were like family. And now, even today, I can run into some of the strikers right today, and it's always, oh, Mary! And it's a hug, and it's always the memories that we develop between one another.
So, Gio, could you continue by talking about that balance between people who wanted to strike? Nobody wants to strike, but there was a balance there. People who didn't think it was right. Talk about that just for a second.
It was difficult, because you have people, they know when you're talking to them, you're telling the truth, because the company took away everything what they have for their families.
but they are afraid, to make the decision to go strike. And what we did is no polarize this group. We have the rank and file committee leaders, Mary, Gloria, and they close to their coworkers. The coworkers trust that committee, and we was working with the committee and explaining to them, you have to come back. And they say, they really meet with me. Yeah, but they don't meet with you. What they doing is cover that with the anger, their fears. Mm-hmm. You have to making them confidence about we're going to win this, and they know alone the union will support 100% all strikers, all the frontier workers. And we have great leadership. We have Dee Taylor working with us, great leader. Sometimes really focus, in fight, and when something is wrong, he's there. And that leadership give a lot of confidence to all us, and go back to the committee and explain the committee, look, don't get mad with your coworker. We're going to lose them if you completely don't come back to talk to them about the union. Bring them. They're going to listen to you. They're going to fight with you. They're going to argue with you. They're going to be angry with you, but you have to come back to them. And they did it, and that's why we have 550 people decide to go strike.
Wow. So that person that she just said was such a great leader. Why don't we just give him an applause? He's with us tonight. Dee Taylor. Oh, he's too shy to stand up. So the Culinary Union, Local 226, forged a relationship with members that is unique. And in order for people to be successful, to live the kind of lives they wanted to live, and to achieve their dreams, how did they do that? How do you cultivate that kind of a relationship? Gloria, Mary?
Okay. So when we decided to be on the street, first day, it's excited, jumping. We don't know where we go. But one thing we are sure that we're going to win. So during the time that we was there, wasn't easy, to be honestly. Sometimes struggles in the family economically and emotional with the family, but sometimes with the strikers, sometimes when it's like brothers and sisters, sometimes argue with them or fighting with them. It was like that. But the next day, we are in the same ship. We are in the same trip. So we just start together. But if somebody touch from the street one of the strikers,
Yep.
Oh my gosh, we can jump on top of the people. We forgot the argue, and we just defend ourselves. If you cut your finger over here, you feel your pain and all your body. And was the same thing.
Yes.
And somebody touched one of those, our brothers and sisters, we jump it. But this is the kind of, and this is why we say we become a real family.
And no matter what shift, we had 3 different shifts. And no matter what shift, the graveyard, the swing, and the days, everybody knew what was happening on each shift. So we were just bonded. It was just unusual. And I say that God put us out there for a reason. I really do. Because how many people could stay on the picket line 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days?
Yeah.
But the frontier strikers. And we were there, and I truly believe, for a reason. To show the world and show the people, if you stand together and never give up and just fight, you can win. And I truly believe that.
And one of the beautiful things I can tell you, when you're working in the casino, you see the bartender, the cocktails, food server, GRAs over there, like everybody running their job. When we become outside, bartenders, cocktails, food servers, porters, GRAs, we just be like that, like no classification.
No classification.
Only one dream, to win the strike, to make this Las Vegas strong, and get what we're fighting for, benefits.
Yeah, the Culinary Union built a relationship with the rank and file leaders closely and explaining what we're fighting for. Mm-hmm. You had to have in the plan, we had to win too. One of the things is people want to have protection for their families.
Right.
And one of the things the Culinary Union bring with the standard of living is a family can have their health care for their husband, wife, if they had 3 children, 5 children, they had that. Their pension, when they retire, they're going to retire with dignity, have wages where they can provide their families, live in comfort, and have this thing and working with dignity. In the Culinary Union, because we have building that rank and file leaders, and that leaders, they have their group, people, group of 20. They know that people really well and build that relationship with them. And the rank and file, they are very close with all organizers too. That organization maintaining a strain because they know we're telling the facts. Sometimes they don't want to hear the facts.
Nope.
But the facts have to be there in the front for people to make the right decision. And we trust, the people going to make the right decision for their families.
So we know how you try to encourage people, but every day for all those years, how did you keep that fire in the belly for all those years? What did you do?
Because
Mary?
number
Yes.
one, because we knew we was fighting a demon, so we couldn't give up. You know what I'm saying? So we still had to stick together, even though it was dragged out some days and long days. But back in the back of your mind, you were still thinking, we got to win this, because if we don't, we can't let her beat us.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So we had to fight and just stay there one day longer, one day longer, and that's what we did, And sometimes we'll see her come in a limousine, her and her sons would come in, and that gave you a little more reason to fight. Every time you saw them. Each time they would put that water on us, Mr. Bennett used to send a food truck out there, and each time they would put that water hose on us, we had to fight another day.
What do you mean, put the water hose on?
Oh, they would spray the water and stuff on us when we would be out there at the food truck getting our food from Mr. Bennett. And they would come out there and spray water, put manure, some kind of smell out there to try to run us off. But each time they did, we just stayed a little bit longer. I guess she said these people will not give up. And we did. No matter what they did to us, we did not give up.
Okay.
No.
So also, because we have a great organizers, we have, like you mentioned, D. Taylor. Mm-hmm. I believe he come for the sun one day longer. And this is also going through our mind, one day longer.
Okay.
So also we had Joe Dory, who was also the director with this strike. And we also had leads like Joconda, Steve, Heidi, and also we say Big Lonin that he passed away. But this is what they have our mentors also every day. And maybe we just go and I go and talk about what Mary did to me, and they said, I'm going to talk to us and come back. Okay. We just go back like that. So this is the way we just keep going. But this is this war one day longer. I still think when I have that moment, like everybody, one day longer.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes. Anyone else with anything else to add to that?
Yeah, one of the things is, as an organizer, they are the strikers, and for me, they are heroes, always going to be in my heart. We had to understand their days. Some days they're coming okay. Some days they're coming very frustrated and anger. And, they need to throw the anger to somebody. And sometimes was fighting, but we always try to focus on the fight with the company. No, it's between all us, or with us, But one of the have everybody different ethnic groups in the picket line. In the beginning, that was an amazing thing to how they transformed, because everybody had different situations, and you had to understand everything. You had to understand their culture. You have to understand where they came from. You know their family. You know their children's. You really building a relationship with them, like Mary said, we are family.
So speaking about children, talk about the children on the picket line just a bit more. I know that you talked about how some of them went across the street playing in the other hotels, but tell us some other stories about the children, because I think there are a couple of children here tonight that grew up at that time.
Yeah, we have Mayela over here, and we have Mary's daughter, Jerica, over here. And we have a striker over here. We have Beth over here, too. She's frontier striker. She was very, very young on the picket line when she went to strike. The children, they went through a lot, because the weather, and, sometimes it's hot. The Vegas is hot. Or when we have windy days, we have to try to figure out how we make their days. Like bring little spray bottles to play in the picket line, popsicles, the Union sent popsicle, watermelon for the children. The children was like sometimes don't understanding, sometimes they tell you my mom work on the street. No, your mom no work on the street. Even my daughter come to the picket line, Christina, she was a little girl, coming over there. She was thinking, I'm Frontier Striker daughter. Mm-hmm. And every time somebody say, no, you're not Frontier Striker daughter, your mom is organized. No, I'm Frontier Striker daughter. And they was growing in there, learning in there, mm-hmm. and no was easy days for them, but we try to make an easy day for them all the time. They bring their toys, they bring their dolls, they play with their skates boards and the sidewalks, and we telling them, hey, you have to take care of the strikers over here. You have to watch in the line. Yep. We play with them a lot in the line, and the union always figure out, because holidays is the most of time for the Frontier Strikers.
So talk a little about
very
the
tough
holidays.
time for them. Yes. The holidays. But they went through good because the union provide everything. Have the Halloween parties at the union for the children's. Or we had the Christmas tree and the picket line and sing, Christmas song. Had the Santa Claus coming and the strikers dressed like Santa Claus. Try to figure out their tough life is an okay life, because it was economically was very tough for the children too.
Good. Yes, they made sure that our kids had stuff for each holiday, Christmas, Thanksgiving. The unions came together with our culinary union, and they donated. So it was really everybody had. The kids had gifts because $200 a week wasn't a lot of money to go and try to buy Christmas gifts and all this stuff. But they would have the parties, and the kids they would ask us what you think your kid wanted, and I knew Angelica always liked Barbie dolls, so that wasn't that much, because it was a lot. But they made sure that they had, and they made sure that we had. So we thankful for that too. That union. She never got without. The kids never did.
We are really thankful to the union and other unions. They always give a donation to us. That we never missing a turkey and those holidays. For Halloween, Christmas, and all our parties we call the big hall at the union. Imagine 6 years, almost 7 years, all the time the parties was there for them. So when the frontier was ending, the strike was ending, the kids still wants to go to the strike. And I said, oh my God, because they don't understand. My baby born 2 weeks before the strike. The other ones was 4 years, and the other one 5 years. 6 years over there, they think it's continue. They don't understand that we so anxious ending this strike, but they really enjoy all the moments. You know, especially when they are kids, they don't know prices and presents. They
Right.
want to have something.
Yes, right.
They, I remember those candy bags. They was excited, but when they start growing after, they ask for something else. So, but they really enjoy, especially even if they in the struggle, they really enjoy all the parties that we have right in the big hall.
Wonderful. Maribel, please know that you can jump in anytime. I'm sort of ignoring you, but please, just know that you can. When you're accustomed to making a good income working for the Culinary Union, and all of a sudden you're earning $200 a week. Talk to us about what happens in your household, and talk about it, because most of us, we have no idea what it's like to walk a picket line, especially for that long. Make us understand.
Now with me, I was out there 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days. I didn't have to get no job and go to work because my husband was working. And with both of us being from the South, he was like, no, you stay on the picket line and I'm going to work. So he never like tried to deter me and say, go get a job, go get a job. No, he didn't do that. So I stayed there and we made that $200 a week work. I think if everybody had to struggle like we did today, you can make $200 a week work. I'm serious. So we paid our rent. We never got put out. We kept our cars. We kept everything, you know. But it was okay. It might not have been as much as you used to making, but we made it work. We made it work.
Okay.
You know, and some other people got jobs and other, you know, went to other places and got jobs and stuff, but they still came back to that picket line. When their job was over, they still came back and did their 6 hours.
Okay.
They didn't give up on us.
So in my case, some of you might remember when McDonald's was 39 cents a cheeseburger. So we able to buy those cheeseburgers at this time. So, but and like you said, we buy our house like 1990 before the strike when the interest was 9.5. So to become a $200 a week, you have to be smart how you're gonna play with this money.
Mm-hmm.
So we just, my husband also was working, but during also the strike almost at the end, I started working also at the Frontier and come to the Picken Live. And a lot of those strikers also was working in another hotel and still come to do the 30 hours a week. Why? Because we want to win and we want to change, to maintain the standard of living in Vegas.
You know, for everybody was difficult, but for the single mothers was most difficult.
Yes.
To do to survive the strike. A lot of them, they had to look for another job to come to the picket line. And it's very, very hard, you know, because you walk the hours in the picket line and you're doing another job and you come to the line. If you work 8 hours in one place and you had to take half an hour to go to your work, half an hour to come back, and then go to the picket line for 4 or 5 hours, 6 hours was the shift, but they do the hours in different days. And for them was a lot of sacrifice, don't see their kids much, and the frustration sometimes they have because the time they don't see their kids much because they coming from one job to the line. You have to be more understanding with them and a lot of more patient with the situation, because if you have 2-3 kids and only one income and you have another job and you out from your home hours and hours and hours and hours, was a lot of sacrifice.
It sounds like it. So we're going to have to stop soon because we have some questions from the audience. We have virtual audience questions as well as questions from this audience. But talk about, everybody wants to talk about what happens when police officers come because of one reason or another, how are people arrested? How is that handled?
You know, during the horseshoe strike, they was brutal, the police. When the frontier, they was very tough too, you know, with the strikers. They arrest organizers. I think being arrested like, I don't know, 100 times, I don't know how many. But they arrest people in the picket line all the time. And one day they put one of the strikers inside the police car, and they put the heater for to scare the striker. You know, never forget the striker's face to scare them. But the whole picket line, we was very upset about it, and they opened the door and then let him go. But they use a lot of intimidation, removing the sound system, removing the bullhorn. You know, try go to the picket captains and go after the picket captains, and they're in the picket line all the time. You know, wasn't that way, and then through the years, they was less and less. But someday they will come out with no in good shape, you know, and they go after the strikers. But we're learning how to live with them. They learning how to live with us. And the sidewalk.
Wow. Any other comments about?
And their security guards was tough on us too.
Well, the
security
was
guards.
terrible.
Yeah, they were terrible too. So, and they had to. The strikers had to, like if they would be in line like this, and the strikers would get right back in line in their face too. So you know, it was vice versa. They was rough on us too, but we still stuck it out.
Well, everybody say the strikers, you know, sometimes people was talking sometimes bad about the strike, but they don't understanding the customer. They come up and if they have a big cup of margarita, they throw your margarita in your face when you tell them don't cross the picket line. They do scenes or spit in your face,
yeah,
or do, you know, nasty scenes to the strikers. You know, people drink in Vegas. That's one thing. Sometimes you talk to them and they get really angry when you talk to them. Sometimes no. Sometimes you found people very nice and they say, I understand you're in a strike, and they pass by and they don't cross the picket line.
Gloria?
You know why? Like I remember the first time that I went to when Horseshoes was on a strike. First time that I come to supporting them was the first civil disobedience that I saw in my life. My son was 2 years old, and my daughter, and I saw those, like Gio mentioned, those heroes. They just hooked together and be strong, and I said was very impact in my life, but in the good way. So when they come out the first time, was so excited. I still have my caution about the frontier hanging in my office because they remind me my beginning. And this is the things they never give up. And like what Gio mentioned, when they turned the heater, was in winter and summertime. And they turned the heater, imagine that. They hit somebody and try to destroy to us. But those things, I believe those issues, they make us strong, more tough, because even if the customer go and get a job and they call horrible things, we just stick together. It's because we just got, we're moving forward. And I'm so proud of this. And it's I can say now, wonderful. At this time, maybe many times that we cry into the house, they don't see our children, but now it's a reason. Yeah. It's a reason, and I can say we're so proud to do that for the community, for our families.
So tell me about the 10th day of the 4th month of the 7th year. The day that the strike ends. Tell me.
They can tell you.
Tell me your memories of that day.
Oh my God. I'm going to share a little bit that one day the many unions on United States come to Las Vegas. More than 23,000 workers around the United States come to supporting us. Was it something they can feel in us like energy to just keep going? It's, I mean, we, like you say, it is true, it's true. It's a real life. It's something that we live. But the day when they come on the newspaper, look, my ears still red, remind those moments that we have a big party outside in front of the fashion show mall. Oh my goodness, it's something, honestly, we can't explain, but it's a feeling until today. It's it's like 23 years ago. But we still have the emotional when we go through and we see those strikers that we see then, honestly, we was crying.
And I would like to say, I was telling her that on our first anniversary, when all of the unions came together, and there was a group of people came from Africa. They say, we from South Africa, we come to support you. You know, so that, and then that night, it was like, it was so many unions, the garbage truck work. To me, it's like the civil rights movement. Look like, in my mind, I could see Martin Luther King marching down through the middle of all those people, you know, saying, fight for these people, stand up for these people. If y'all would have been there, I'm telling you, tears, it's still emotion in there, I'm sorry.
Yes, that's okay. That's okay.
Now to see all those people that were supporting us, and we were fighting for a cause, I'm sorry. But to think about it now.
Exactly.
You guys just would have had to been there just to see it, you know. And we never gave up. And my daughter, on one of the interviews, Babette used to always come to my house and interview me. And they asked my daughter the question, say, what do your mama do when she come home? And she say, all my mama do when she come home is she come home and get cool, cause it was in the summertime, you know. And she knew, and with her being 30, she was 3, she's 33 now, and I still instilled in her to fight, to fight, to never give up, to fight for what's right, you know. And she knew, and it's instilled in her. She can tell y'all, she'll turn that video on YouTube. You can see every video. And she'll put them videos on, and she'll just look over at me. Even now, she said, Mama, how you feel about it? Right to the day.
That's great. So, Jill, would you like to have the last word?
Yes. You know,
it is emotional.
It's hard to describe.
Yep.
You know, what we feel, you know, when the strike is over.
Yes.
Completely hard to describe it until today. One thing, all the sacrifice, everything what happened in the picket line, the temperatures was brutal. Summers, you know, the summers was 116, 117. The winters and brutal. Everything what they went through, and that they, you know, was like hard to. You know, I don't know how to explain it to you, but the strikers, everybody was crying. But the tears they having was happiness, and at the same time, they know the pain they went through. I think that night was an incredible night. I never forget the night. You know, was one of the most beautiful nights with a big moon. Or the night for the frontier workers, for the first time they're going to come back after 6 years for Mountain Day to walk inside the casino. The casino was a taboo for us, you know, for 6 years. Nobody go inside, you know.
Yep.
This was incredible the night.
Can I share a couple things?
Of course.
Part of the relationship, the leads and the organizers, and they make us so strong, and the trust we have with the union, that was we keep going. I'm going to share this, that I come from Mexico. I'm not a citizen. By the time when I become a citizen, I went to do the test, supposed to be 100 questions. So the immigrant asked me, are you still on the strike? And I say, yes. And do you think that you're going to win? Yes. When? I don't know. So this is was my text for the American citizen. He believed, and I don't remember because right after I can go with it, and I said, yes, this is the true win. And another part, I'm going to share this. During the strike, one of the co-workers, Amalia, she went to the hospital to have her baby. When she has her baby, another issues come in her, and she's very ill. When Gio and I, we went to visit to her. I don't know how many over here they have a family, and her was say, I just wanted to keep my baby, give it to Gio. She almost died right there. And this is the trust. To give your children like newborn baby to somebody else is because they building a big trust to us. So I just want to share this because this is only happened in the room with like 3 people, Maria, Amalia, Gio, and myself. And I just want to share because this is the union make us strong, and they keep us like only one.
Wow.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, no, that's powerful. That is so powerful.
And I'm an American citizen.
Yes.
And we won the strike.
So how much time do we have for audience questions? Are we going only to 7:30? 7:30? Okay. So the first question from the audience is also one of the questions I skipped so that we could get to the audience questions. So, what does the Frontier sign mean to you? And we're talking about the Frontier sign right there. What does it mean to you, ladies?
Go ahead. No, go ahead. The Frontier sign mean to me now?
Yes.
Just looking at it now?
Uh-huh.
It means just hope, and dedication. That's what it means to me. I'll never forget the first day I got my job in the Frontier. And that was the best day of my life, to me. So now, but how many years later? Let me see, I was 38 years old then, and it's 30 years later. So it still means the same to me, hope. I'll never forget. That's one thing about it.
What I can say for me is a victory. We won. We did it. And it's still, for sure, they remind all the sacrifice. But I can see it's a victory.
Okay. Wonderful.
For me, can I tell you, when I see the Frontier, I see the strikers.
Okay.
That's for me when I see the Frontier sign, what I see is the strikers, their life,
So there's a question here about the family that owned the Frontier. So did they survive despite the strike? Did they hire scab workers? Did some of the union members not go on strike? So you may answer any of that. It's a 3-part question. So how did the family, the Alardis, survive? And did they hire scabs? Yes.
Go ahead, Mary.
The day that we went on strike, where the uniform room sits, it was right. You had to come up the stairs, come right in and get a uniform. So I'm the uniform room attendant. So that day, when they started hiring the people before we went out because they had got rumor that we were going to go on strike. And I'll never forget the day that we walked out and I looked back at those stairs. I mean, the people were just lined up to get a job. Oh. Now, remind you, before we went on strike and the Alardis tried to hire people to come in to work, Nobody wanted to come work at the Frontier. And I was like, well, I'll be doggone. They come at our expense to get a job, but nobody wanted a job in the union in the Frontier. So they hired scab workers, you know. Even now to today, I know some of them. And it was a feeling when we went back in and they were in there, they were really hated that we came back, because a lot of them told us, we hate that y'all came back, y'all ruined everything for us, and paid Mark, and she hired in and everything, because the people told me, you know, that they was having parties, and they was watching the soap operas, they was doing everything. So when we came back, they were really upset that we came back, where we say all them parties and stuff stop now, because the union is back.
You know, was a lot of work for those organizers to working with us, because after 6 years, 4 months, and 10 days be with the heat and all those struggles, go back and facing those people they was inside. Wow, it's a lot of work. You have to unionize, you have to this and working mental, because we cannot go back and fighting with them. So it was a lot of job, and at the end, look, those people who was there, we feel sorry for them, because these people was working for minimum wages with no respect. So we feel sorry for them, but there's a lot of work for them to us go back to facing those
Then
workers.
they say we came in and took their job. We're like, really?
It was very difficult for the strikers to go back and work with somebody who was there when they was in the picket line. But one of the things was work in organizing. To their understanding, if they don't organize the group, they're always going to be weaker. And they had to organize one-on-one to, you know, they had to work with their anger. That's the first thing, because they was very angry to them. And they had to understanding they going to hurt more if they separate and polarize completely the two groups. They need to be together to not make the company stronger. Any company, you know, the division make people weak.
So explain how the picket line functions so well. Talk about the shifts and how the shift leaders handle that.
Yeah, we have an organizer, Steve Janovis. He came at 6 in the morning until 12 o'clock in the afternoon. He have a group of strikers in the morning. You know, he worked with the striker. He organize them, talk to them, listen to them, be sure everything they needing in the picket line is in the picket line, you know, water, coffee, the radios working, the picket signs, they are there. And whatever happened with the police, had to deal with the police, or whatever fight between the striker, had to go and talk with the strikers. I used to come to the line like 11:45, 20 to 12, to receive the next shift. Still receive me practically. I go there, still report me what happened during the morning and what is the problems we have. And I have some of the strikers still walk with me until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and some strikers, they start to coming in 12 o'clock. You know, some strikers, they start coming in 1 o'clock. And I receive all the report from every single areas and what we have to do and take care of the picket line. And that's our job. You know, there is not only with the captains, we talk with every single striker every day, with everyone who are in our chief. And we have to run when they have fights. We have to run from corner to corner, you know, crazy, to figure out people, they don't get hurt. And be sure they got everything, you know, water and coffee and all the stuff they have. But our main part was to maintaining them. Somebody maybe was very upset that day and crying and very upset and fighting with the captain. You know, fighting with the captain big time. Or somebody took the book, and they used to sign the hours. And somebody took the book and ran with the book, and then we had to look for that book. You know, things happen where you never know what's going to happen every day. Or the customers, you have fight with the customers and they're nasty fights. And you see when the women, they're going to start removing their earrings, have a big fight. It's a lot of things happening there every day. Every day was like a box of surprise. You know, you come in, but you knew it. You prepare your mind and say, okay, I'm coming to the line. And the strikers, you know, they love you someday, and someday they really mad at you.
Yeah.
But at the end, if somebody touch the organizer, all the strikers, they come.
Okay.
They don't let nobody touch the organizer.
Okay, wonderful. I'm going to read this question verbatim because I'm not sure I understand it myself. I just wonder how unions got the money to pay the $200 per week to every striker. I mean before, not after. So I'm not exactly sure, but I think they want to know where did the money come from. So if you could talk about that.
The members, you know, during the horse strike, the horse striker, they made $150, and the union, they was in the meeting and everything, you know, raised the money for helping the striker with $200.
Yes.
But the support of the international union was a big support during the entire frontier strike. The international union supporting everything, but the membership support the strikers. Now, if you don't want to pay your $7, you know, when we raised the union dues, you know, was $32.50, then had the union dues a little more higher. People can come to the picket line, walk for hours, and then get their $7 back to the member who paid. But really, the support was from the member, the international union, a lot of support from everybody too.
Okay, thank you. Were negotiations ongoing the whole time, or did talks stall throughout the years?
They had negotiation, but they don't want negotiation, really. They were union busters negotiation. They want to kick the union out. You know, they want to take away everything from these strikers. Practically, they union buster. The largest families, one of the worst families. You know, we have some families like that who try to destroy the working people. We used to say this to Margaret Lardy all the time, you know, every time, because she come to work 9 in the morning and leave 5 p.m. She wear her high heels, you know, and get out from the north entrance. I used to take a lot of strikers over there and be in the bullhorn. And I used to say, Margaret, you don't have to worry. You never will die because the devil don't want you. You know? You're going to live 150 years old, maybe 200, because the devil don't want you there. We used to say that to her a lot. You know, it was, we weren't at the point where, you know, people, they see her bad soul. Have little kids in the picket line there and see their moms there and their parents. You know, somebody who is really bad person can do something like that. And that family, they don't deserve nothing in this city.
So the last question, did the other casinos hire strikers? But I'm going to add to that question. How did the other casinos support strikers?
Well, we have Mr. Bennett, you know, the owner of the Circus. He sent a truck every single day. We have meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner to the strikers. Every day, every single day, that truck show up and give it to the strikers their meals, and was bring the cooks in there and cook for the strikers and give everything. And we have incredible support for the owner, but the striker get a job in some of the casinos too, you know, and they got hired in some of the casinos.
Anyone else have any comments about other casinos?
So I remember we had days with some unions, let's say some casinos adopting Sunday day to go with us, walking right after jobs. And so different like that, those workers, they come and join with us. Because honestly, and we need this to, so that we keep it strong. So those workers, let's say this time was Mirage, is one day they're going to come after some hours to supporting us, and another casino just being like that. So there's another big supporting for us.
The union organized the workers. The organizers from the culinary union organized the workers from the casinos to come to the picket line and support the strikers.
Okay, wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this has been an amazing evening. I want to applaud these women. I think that this is an amazing.
Come on, you guys. Come on, Betty.
Okay, we got one more thing we want you guys to hear. This was our song, and this song brings back so many memories. My daughter's gonna bring it to him so he can play it.
Oh, good. We're gonna end with
But this
music.
was the song that I don't know if Dee chose this song or who, but
Lean on me.
Lean on Me.
Lean
This was
on
our
Me.
song. When we would get weak on the picking line, and we would hear this song, this made us strong right here. Yeah. We get on my knees, bro.
We're gonna.
Come on, Gloria.
We should
I had to stand too. We're going to have to stand.
do a little bit exercise.
Well,
We're going to hold hands.
we're gonna do this.
We can put sanitizer later.
Beth.
So do you know the words?
Gio,
No, she's gonna play it right here.
they should be.
I know. I was just gonna start it without the.
Hey,
D, come on, D.
Mayela.
Kevin.
remember when they were scared of the pirate?
Gio, dile Mayela.
Mayela. Come on, Mayela.
You can see some pictures like before, and then you can see the after now over here. It's a big difference.
Yeah, Bobette, get up here. Bobette.
Oh my!
Come on, Bobette.
That's right.
Bet.
We can move this chair out of the way a little.
Oh, God.
Oh, it's-
Oh.
What happened?
Okay. Okay, so those that wait a second.
and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Need somebody to lean on. Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. You won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on.
After 30 years, we're still moving, right?
It is really hard to follow that.
Yes.
I want to thank our incredible panel. Can please join me in applauding our incredible panel for this evening.
Yay!
At this moment, we're going to have people who are going to be walking through and providing you with surveys for this evening. We want you to take just 60 seconds and fill out the survey and give us this information and the feedback on this evening's program. We use this information so that we can provide it to funders so they can provide more programs like this one tonight, including music. So please take just a second and fill these out for us as the staff is walking through and providing this for you. While you do that, I also want to announce that starting tomorrow, the Neon Museum will begin offering tours here on property in Spanish. So we are welcoming all people into our audiences. So please take advantage of that and be a part of our family. Thank you to our incredible panel for sharing their intimate stories, for being emotional and vulnerable with us, telling us our history. Thank you. And thank you all for being a part of tonight as well. Thank you again.